In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the while command. The while command allows you to construct a loop that will repeat a series of steps while a given condition is true. Once that condition becomes false, it will cease to perform these steps. The basic syntax for this starts with the while command itself, followed by some parentheses. Inside these parentheses, you're going to place a condition that will evaluate out to either being true or false. As long as that condition is true, it's going to perform some steps. So the basic idea of this is when R encounters this while command, it's going to check this condition. If it's true, it will perform these steps right here. At the end of performing those steps, it will go back up and check this condition again. If it remains true, it will perform these steps again. At that point, it will go back and check this condition. And so it will repeat back and forth between performing the steps and checking this condition until that condition becomes false, if it ever does. Now, a basic example of something like this will be if I have R print out a series of numbers. And so I'm going to start with a variable I'll call totes. I'll assign it the value of 0. Then I'll construct a while loop. And this loop is going to run as long as the value for this guy totes is less than or equal to the value of 10. And so I'll come in here and I'll use the print command. The print command was basically just has it print whatever's inside it down in the console line. So I'm going to have it print the value of totes. And then what I'll do after this is, so it has something to really check, is I'm going to change the value of totes each time it goes through these steps. So what it'll do is after it prints the value of totes, it's going to add 1 to it and reassign that new number to totes again. So what should happen is each time it goes through this loop, it should add 1 to the value of totes. And so this is my looping structure here. I'm going to check to see if totes is less than or equal to 10. If it is, it'll print the value of totes. Then it's going to increment totes by 1 value. So at some point, totes is going to become bigger than 10. In fact, it'll become 11, at which point this will stop printing out numbers. So I'm going to run this code. And what we get here is we start when totes is 0, and then it keeps going through the loop up until totes became 10, and it printed totes is 10, then it added 1 to it, so totes became 11, and at that point, totes was bigger than 10, so it stopped printing anything. So this is the basic structure for constructing a while loop. You should be aware, though, that you have to make sure, or at least consider the fact, that if I didn't have this incrementing step here, the value of totes would remain the same forever. And so if I ran this code without that line in there, totes never changes, and so it basically just prints 0, checks to see that 0 is less than 10, goes back and prints it again, and so I get a never-ending loop there. So you always have to consider when you're making one of these while loops, will this actually turn this condition false at some point in the future? If it doesn't, you need to reconsider how you're writing your code. Anyway, that's how you make a while loop.